Niranj. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, very,
How are you doing?
very well. I
How's
think
it, how's the festival season going on?
the festival season is nice. I think people are more excited. The good thing to see is more and more people keep adding on the company, and space is the problem that we always have shortage of.
Absolutely. So we are about to close a year, right? So how has 2016 the year been for you?
2016 for us has been exceptionally well. We met the targets, and over and above targets, we have jumped about 18% more than targets. So which means we've done about 58% growth this year compared to last year about 45%. We've done 58 this year. The market, according to me, is good. I have not seen anything going down, but in practical, I think has really given us a good growth this year.
So how about your portfolio? Like have you made any additions or do you have added any new solutions to your portfolio?
Actually, we've not added too many things as what we launched the managed services and the bazaar in July. We've been taking that forward. We've launched a massive program in Eastern Europe on the same product itself. We've seen in the last 6 months almost 2 million cards that we've added onto it on the benefit beyond. UAE is responding well, so we have a small number to start with, but in total we have almost about 120,000 cards already on board, which is that. So we're currently working on that. So there's nothing exceptional that we've added on the portfolio this year.
So let's talk about the regional payment sector, right? What kind of growth have you seen for the past year?
I think in the growth that we're talking about on the IT segment, more and more projects have come in. I mean, specifically with the government segment, a lot of initiatives have been launched in. Middle East is quite happening on that front, especially Qatar and Oman majorly booming up. I mean, we look at the Qatar metro, which is coming in. Most of them are becoming into a smart city concept. In terms of projects, I've seen a growth. I have not seen any dearth in terms of projects not being coming in or banks withholding projects. No. I mean, there has been a substantial growth. I mean, I would qualify it about almost 14 to 16% growth has been there in terms of projects. And IT companies, to my knowledge, have been doing exceptionally well. Payments as a whole is going to be the key breadwinner for everybody. Whether you talk about a metro or you talk about transit, I mean, we are talking about payments end to end. I mean, we're trying to make it a cashless society, and that's where we're all working towards it. So it's certainly a good way to see the market going better year on year.
So talking about the entire rise of the m-commerce market in this region, right? A lot of online payments are gaining space. So like, how do you see the entire existence of card as a payment mode? Like, are they going to diminish very soon, or the trend will go on?
Logically, if you look at card, it would always remain in. The reason being is virtualization of card is a concept that most of us are talking about. With m-commerce, cards generally don't play a very great role into it. But today, it's still a necessity is to make sure that the cards are used first before we get into virtualization. I mean, we've got less than 20% people that actually use cards across. And if we need to pull that thing to at least about 70% before m-commerce works in. I mean, I've always been saying that a lot of people are not yet convenient by using mobile apps to do it. For example, we've got sook.com, which is there, or we've got Hits Arabia, which I see, or we've got DoBizzle, but a lot of them don't use it. The fact is we only use to search and we don't use them to pay. And that's where there's a big gap that I still see in. So I still see that cards are going to be used for another decade before they diminish, and a decade is almost 10 years from now. So we don't know what technology is going to play after 10 years, but certainly cards would always exist. I mean, and I don't see cards going out anywhere so fast.
Coming to the African market, right? So like, what kind of growth have you seen like after you ventured into the African markets?
Africa market has always been a very populated kind of a continent. The best part is technology only survives there. It's never been a physical acceptance or anything. Especially mobile technology as an acceptance is very widely used in Africa. For us, our investment in BRS that we did has been a good initiative for us. We've seen numbers going double within a year's time. We're expanding that from a regional office to at least about another 6 regional offices that would be opened all across Africa. And we started working with the government and a few banks on a large scale, which on a large scale, keeping to which our existence would be more present would be felt by a lot of competition in the next 3 to 4 years time in Africa. So it's been a good thing for us that we've doubled the figures in less than 1 year's time, and that's the same pace we try to get on with.
Okay, so like if we have to compare both the markets, say the Gulf and the African market, like what are the points which both the countries can learn from each other, and if there are any challenges, like how can they overcome? Like what are the good points and the bad points in both the regions?
I think Africa uses a lot of mobile technology. Unfortunately, Middle East or Gulf that I see, we talk about mobile technology, but we don't use it that much. I think that's the first thing that we need to look at, how we can penetrate this market using mobile technology. One. Point two is Africa is, some countries are really rich in terms of technology development, and the governments are doing very well in terms of all other sectors except IT. I mean, they need a push from an international company, or from an international segment of companies that really take them to a different domain altogether. So that's where either they are very connected to the European side, which is the north of Africa, or when we look at to the lower, which is the south of Africa itself, dominates its own market when it comes to mobile technologies. So far, I think right now we leave both of them on their own pace. The only thing that I feel is Africa works too much on mobile, and I think Gulf can really learn from that bit of it.
So, how do you see the growth of technology in the banking sector, to be very specific? Because with the rise of financial technology, the FinTech and all, and various cards and online payment models, banks and finance are at a threshold of a major development, right? So, what key role do you see technology in the banking and finance sector?
I think banking and finance sector purely would be dominated by technology. Reason being is, for a bank today to invest into infrastructure is a very expensive thing. For example, it's not like Asia or Africa where branches play a very important role. I mean, here being a small place, to open up a branch is a lot of investment required for it. Getting into a digital banking space, that's the thing that we're talking about, where we don't spend too much on opening a branch, but create a digital banking system where I can do all my activities what practically I do in a branch. So that's the concept that is being worked by most of the banks around Gulf that we look at big time, and they've been looking. They're focusing at Asia big time, Singapore, India. What we are looking at. I mean, today the best thing is, if you have to go to a bank here even to withdraw, they charge you money. I mean, they want to eliminate that. They're trying to make sure that you use technology as much as you can use it, and practically do your requirements based on technology. So technology and fintech, I mean, that's the word fintech everybody talks about. I mean, is really going to be a big success when it comes to banking and finance sector. So that's, I feel it's really technology that will drive most of the banking and finance division today.
And currently, you work with Bank Sohar, right? So can you give a brief of what the project was and how the implementation was?
So Bank Sohar is a very typical bank which is getting into POS acquiring. I mean, their intentions are great. They want to penetrate almost every nick and corner of Oman, just like any other bank which gets into acquiring services. So, but they want to be a little different than what others are. I mean, they want to practically get more into the contactless mode when we look at it. I mean, they want to use technology to make the best use of customer and their time that they spend generally while doing a purchase or something. That's where the Bank Sohar wants to be a little different. It's a unique project for us. The reason being, it's not going to be a traditional POS that we're talking about. It's going to be a little more than a POS terminal that they're getting into, which is a complete ecosystem of acquiring that they're implementing in one single shot. So the project is going to be a little different, and it's going to be a landmark according to us when it comes to Oman in the coming years.
Great, Niranj. So how do you see the 2017 market coming along? Like, what would OMA Emirates as a company have in hand for 2017 and beyond that, for sure?
So I mean, 2017 we've already got a roadmaps on as we planned it last year. We will be opening about 5 new offices worldwide. We are already trying to work with the local government, basically doing all government procedures to form the offices. We are looking at almost a 50% growth in 2017 that we're talking about, and this is being very conservative that we're talking about, and it's purely because of technology that we support and the services that we render based on the technology that we are giving them. So looking at a 50% growth across.
Great, Niranj. So we wish you all the best and a very happy 2017 to you and entire group of OMA Emirates.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.